You learned early that something was wrong with you. Not because anyone said it plainly, but because of the way blame found you before the facts did. The way your feelings were always the problem, never the thing that caused them. You were the difficult one, the sensitive one, the one who made everything harder. And even now, in rooms where nobody is blaming you, you still wait for it. That waiting was taught to you, and it has a name. There is a role in certain families and certain workplaces that most people carry for years before they ever find a word for it. It is called the scapegoat, and it does not appear randomly. It is almost always created, deliberately, systematically, and invisibly, by one specific kind of person. A narcissist, a parent, a mother or a father, a manager, a boss, someone with power over you and a deep, unconscious need to use it. The narcissist does not experience themselves as someone who causes harm. They experience themselves as someone who is constantly surrounded by inadequate people. And in any system they control, a family, a team, a household, they need one person to carry the weight of everything that is wrong. Not because that person is actually wrong, but because the narcissist cannot afford to be. Their entire sense of self depends on one thing, that the problem is never them. So they find you. The process is not dramatic. It does not happen in one conversation. It happens across years of small, accumulating moments. A parent who praises your sibling and finds fault in the same thing you do. A manager who credits the team's wins publicly and assigns you the blame for losses privately. Someone who listens carefully to everything you say, not to understand you, but to collect it, to use it later, in the right room, with the right people. Because the narcissist's most powerful tool is not anger. It is the story they tell about you when you are not there. This is called the smear campaign, and it is one of the most disorienting things a scapegoat experiences, because by the time you realize it is happening, it has already been happening for a long time. The narcissistic parent has already told your siblings that you are unstable, too sensitive, impossible to reason with. The narcissistic manager has already told HR, told the team, told anyone who would listen that you are difficult, resistant, a problem they have been patiently managing. The people around you start to see you differently before you have done anything different. You walk into rooms that have already been prepared against you. You defend yourself against accusations you did not know existed. And the more you try to explain, the more you look like exactly what they said you were. That is not a coincidence. It is the design. The narcissist does not only destroy your reputation, they also make sure you have nowhere to turn. In the family, this looks like turning your siblings against you one by one, speaking to each of them privately, planting small doubts, small stories, small loyalties, until you look around and realize that every relationship you thought you had has been quietly redirected through them. You are not just blamed, you are alone. In the workplace, it looks like removing you from conversations, excluding you from meetings, making sure your ideas are never heard or are heard only after someone else has taken credit. You are made to feel invisible and impossible at the same time. Too much to include, too little to matter. And the cruelest part, they do all of this while presenting themselves to everyone else as reasonable, generous, patient, as the one who has been trying so hard to make things work with you. What makes this so difficult to name is that the narcissist never leaves fingerprints. There is no single moment you can point to and say, here, this is where it started. Because it did not start in a moment. It started in an atmosphere where your instincts were wrong, where your memory was unreliable, where your reaction to something cruel was treated as more problematic than the cruelty itself. This is called gaslighting. And when you grow up inside it, or spend years inside it at work, you stop trusting yourself. Not because you are untrustworthy, but because someone with power over you needed you not to trust yourself. A person who trusts themselves asks questions, notices inconsistencies, names what they see. You, seeing clearly, were dangerous to them. So they made you doubt your own eyes. You were not chosen because you were weak. You were chosen because you were the most awake. The scapegoat is almost always the most perceptive person in the room, the one who sensed the dysfunction earliest, the one who could not pretend that the emperor was wearing clothes. Your sensitivity was not the problem. Your sensitivity was an accurate reading of a genuinely dangerous situation. You were not too much. You were too honest for a system built on dishonesty. And because you refused to participate in the pretense, even without knowing that is what you were doing, you became the one who had to be discredited. What they left inside you is not just pain, it is a set of reflexes. You apologize before anything is wrong. You over-explain as a matter of habit. You feel guilty for having a reaction. You assume that conflict means you have done something wrong. You shrink in new environments before anyone asks you to. And in new relationships, in new jobs, your nervous system scans for the familiar pattern. Not because you want it, but because your body learned to stay alert to it. The work of healing is not about understanding the narcissist. You do not need to understand them. You do not need them to admit what they did. You do not need the family to stop protecting them or the workplace to hold them accountable, though justice would be deserved. The work is about you. It is about learning to separate the story they needed to tell about you from the truth of who you are. Those two things were never the same. Not once. Not for a single moment. You came to this video still half believing the version of yourself they built and distributed without your permission. Still waiting in some rooms for the blame. Still shrinking sometimes before the ask. That is not weakness. That is what happens to a person who survived a system designed to make them doubt themselves. You survived it. The next part, the slower, quieter part, is learning that you are allowed to exist without having to earn it. To take up space, to trust what you see, to stop defending yourself to people who decided the verdict before the trial. The role they gave you was never yours. It was a burden the system needed carried, and you were simply the one awake enough to have been chosen to carry it. You do not have to carry it anymore.